So this is a video I have been dying to do for a long time, and I've been sitting on it because it's actually such a deep root system to what I'm going to start talking about in a moment. Where Egypt meets Avalon. This is Glastonbury Tour. This is the Great Sphinx. And this might be a long one, but I cannot cram it all into one video because there's so much to this that I want to share that this could be like the beginning of many videos. Call this the portal video, right? So I want to share with you my deep connection with these two places because one doesn't go without the other, right? So this here is the soul for me, soul, and this is the heart, okay? Heart energy. And I'm going to get into that as to why. Divine masculine, divine feminine, right? This is the balance. This is where my two words meet, where I want to run that infinity symbol. Here I am in the middle. This is my two parts. They're there. And this is what I'm going to explain to you because there's lots of you out there that I have a very strong feeling and intuition that this is going to make a lot of sense to you. Not for everyone, because we're all on different missions and we all have different divine makeup, as it were. But I think this is going to make a lot of sense to a lot of you, right? So this is a Stargate portal. This is a Stargate portal. You access the halls of Amenti underneath the Great Sphinx here, okay? Between the Great Pyramid, which is just behind. The halls of Amenti, it's a place where you attain mastery. You start off understanding, kind of sleepy, and you're just like understanding that everything's physical. Then you start to awaken a little bit, and then you start to get into the metaphysical, meaning you start to believe there's something a bit more than this. And then once you go beyond the metaphysical, you're then in the Heka, the magic and medicine, and you understand you're a creator being and all this kind of thing. So there's three stages to the halls of Amenti. It call it like a snakes and ladders board, whereby that is your journey in these lifetimes, where you come through the river of amnesia, you get put into the halls of Amenti, which is the underworld, where you are going to follow your pathway to becoming, and you go up the ladder, and you go up another ladder, and then you hit a snake, and you go all the way down to the bottom again, and then you come up half a level, and then you're up, and then you're up, and then you're down, and then you're up, and then you complete. It's kind of like a crazy labyrinth. Now, that's basically what our soul path mission is all about. And doing that kind of like walk of the gauntlet, as it were, in the halls of Amenti, that is where we kind of attain mastery, because we come back and we do it again and again and again, because that's what mastery is, doing something over and over and over and just getting it spliggity nick, right? So we're talking about this kind of like this labyrinth. Well, guess what? There's a huge labyrinth in the hill that is circles around the Glastonbury Tour, the Avalon Tour, right? And there is an entry point at the side of the hill that takes you into the underworld, a gateway, right? Exactly the same as the Great Sphinx. So they call it the underworld, but in Egypt terms, it's the halls of Amenti. Same thing, right? It's the same thing. So this is where there's like everything is a mirror, okay? But this is divine masculine and this is divine feminine. Now I'm going to explain to you why that is, because with the divine masculine, when you come to me, and I'm going to say me specifically, because I hold a very powerful medicine when it comes to death, rebirth, and resurrection. That's why only those that come must be ready for it. We know about this. And that's all you guys, if you're watching. But it's very specific mission coming here. We go back to the temples. We remember who we are. We as I'm standing here, I am accessing the Akashic records, and I'm tapping in, and I'm just having a little bit of a conversation with my golden counselor light who are on the other side of that veil. And I'm really tapping in. And it's like I have vomited there. I have gone through so many like intense purges, and things have gone down there because I've been there so many times. But that's just a perfect example of going back to the temples. You go back and have a meeting with your council, even if it is a big stone being, and you just figure stuff out. And you purge through your density, you activate your light, you bring remembrance back on board, and it is just like boom, pow, clack. You know what I mean? And that is Egypt, right? And even though it's very goddessy and it's very powerful, essentially Egypt is like ayahuasca, and in a very beautiful, magical way. But you face what you don't want to carry around with you anymore. And if you move in with me, that's what we get to, because we want to access the Heka. We want to activate the magic and medicine. We want to bring your powers of manifestation, law of attraction, all of those natural innate abilities, which are yours by birthright, online. And we want to get rid of everything that you thought that you weren't supposed to have it or you weren't allowed. You know what I mean? We're reclaiming that power. So we do that. We do that through each and every temple, in a rather large, small nutshell. That's kind of like how it works, right? So that is like very, powerful. We're going in and we're getting, it's a very expansive experience. Okay. So now, infinity symbol, work with me here. we're going back now. Why would we come to Avalon? What's the importance of that? Because this here now is divine feminine. Because this like there was a point which is actually similar to the Great Sphinx, because the Great Sphinx and the pyramid was surrounded by water at one point because of the Nile. But the same with Avalon, this hill that the tour stood on, it was a watery isle. The seas came all the way up to Glastonbury. Funny story, had some psychic friends. I was doing a dragon course in Glastonbury a couple of years ago. So talking to some friends, they were twin sisters and they were probably in their 60s, so they were like old school psychics. They came across pirates and they were like stood and this one of the sisters says to her, hey, I've got a pirate here. I don't know what there's pirate doing here. So they asked one of the tour guides, like why was there pirates here? And they were like, yeah, they used to come in and trade because the water and the sea would come right up to Glastonbury, up to the tour, and they would come and trade. So I mean, like even pirates were there. I mean, like wowzers, how much things have changed, right? So anyway, I digress. Let me get back to the point of call, as it were. So this is divine feminine, the watery womb. So when we come to Avalon, we are coming there to kind of restore, rejuvenate, heal, rest, and just be held in the arms of the mother with the sacred waters. There's the white spring, there's the red spring, there's the chalice well waters, which are self-generating. They don't know where these waters come from, but they know that they've never stopped flowing. It's this magic and mysticism, this kind of, it's beyond magical. You will never go to Avalon and think you've figured it out, because it's very different to Egypt in the sense that it is just very misty and magical and mysterious. It's the place of the mystics. You know what I mean? It's just, it's very much like that. And you think but you have no idea. So it has a very, very, very special way of just kind of like allowing you just to be, because you'll never ever be able to figure it out through here. But that's the path and the purpose of spirit, really. Don't try and run any of this through your mind, because you just won't be able to get it. You got to feel it and just be, you know what I mean? And accept and allow. And that is the true infinity symbol of being in flow, right? So now Egypt, intense, basically death. You know what I mean? It's like, what are you dying to surrender? Go to Egypt, you surrender it, you activate all the rest of it, and it's very, very powerful. And then you come to Avalon and you just rest in the waters, you rest in the womb, you actually just allow everything to be taken care of, because you've done the hard yards here. And then so much more will come from being in the stillness. Not that we're not in stillness here, it's just different. So this is how Avalon supports Egypt, right? Now I'm going to give you a story as to why and how I came here. Now I was born just down the road from Avalon. I'm a Devonshire lass, which is not far from here. So it's in my lineage, it's in my bones. I know this place very, very well, but on a starseed multidimensional level, not really. Only recently have I come back and reintegrated with my place of birth, and kind of, this makes sense now. So I'm going to run you through a story as to how I came here and why this is so important, and why it will always be the work. Because remember, the Essenes came here to do their activations and upgrades and things like that, and initiations. And then they also came over to the UK with Joseph Arimathea to Avalon to work with the Druids, because the Druids, they basically, they were missing a part of their tapping in. The high priestesses just couldn't tap into that next level. Mary Magdalene came over and connected with these druids, who were very sort of standoffish at one point. But then when she said, listen, I can help you tap in, because Mary Magdalene was a massive mystic. She understood it. She knew what they were missing. And she was able to plug the high priestesses in to that part. And then they were forever grateful to her. And then they accepted her as their own. So she became like a druid high priestess as well, as did Anna, grandmother of Jesus, and so on and so on. So there's a huge connection with this here. So how did I arrive through message of spirit in this dynamic? So a few years ago, I went to the gardens, to the Chalice Well Gardens, and I walked in and I just floated around the place. And there was these two amazing yew trees, really, really powerful, these trees are. And I kind of, before I even got to the wells, I got there and I stood there. There's a massive portal ley line there. And I stood there and this message came through, said, you will be bringing Egypt to Avalon. You have to bring your work here. So I kind of thought that it was literal. Okay. That I was like, okay, well, I can teach workshops. I can teach groups, whatever. Okay. Message received, job done. Okay. And then I thought that is a thing, but I hadn't gone to the root system, the depth of it with. So then a few months later, I went back to the gardens again, but this time I went carrying a very heavy heart, carrying heavy Egypt in the shadow, coming back to my past life self, now life self. And I needed help. And I sat in that garden. It was torrential rain. And I basically sat there with my head in my hands at the Vesica Pisces fountain. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. My constant having to step up and be seen, even doing videos, talking to people, creating a tour, build it and they will come. Joseph Arimathea was just like, build it and they will come. And I was like, oh my God, it was just constant anxiety. And I was miserable. And I was literally a starseed wanting to leave. So I went to this Chalice Well Gardens for help, put my head in my hands, had a good cry. And I said, you need to take me out of this, okay, out of this mission, or make it work. And when I said out of this mission, I meant take me off the planet. You know, it was very intense and it was very dark. One of my darkest nights of the soul. So I sat there, said my prayers, left the fountain and the little trickling water feature there, which is amazing and powerful and very nurturing. And I left there and I walked up in the rain to these yew trees that I'd visited before. True story. Nobody's in the gardens. And I look up and I see this guy dragging an ankh from one side of the garden to the other. It was bigger than him. And I was like, I was just like, this is not happening. So I looked at him and I went over to him and I said, listen, I just need to have a picture of this. Tears rolling down my cheeks. And I said, I don't think you understand what this means to me. I need to take a picture. So I took a picture. And then before I knew it, they were like little elves. They came out the trees, all these people. This little old lady came out, tiny. She says, I've been to Egypt 13 times. She starts speaking light language and telling me your mission, you're this, the that, the other. She got me to, we did this huge ritual because all our people that had gone to Egypt with us started crawling out of the woodwork. There was nobody in those gardens. And here I am holding this massive ankh in the rain. What the is going on here? So I did this huge activation. I must have been there for 2 hours on this ley line. Didn't even get to see the well. Didn't even get that far. I was just like, what the hell? I need to go home. I need to go home and lie down. So I lay down and got home and I was like, and they were like, now the mission is on. And from, I mean, I get emotional talking about this because that was the difference of me not being here, guys, and doing what I do or not doing what I do. And that was the magic. That's when I was like, oh, there's so much more to this. Now, flash forward to recent days. And I went on this beautiful priestess, Women Rising, Amaya. You must look up her stuff. Very, very, very women only. Very, very priestessy. Very all walks of life go there. Very, very powerful, connected. Like she's divine. And I had to hand myself over to be in someone else's hands. And I was really reluctant to do this. I didn't realize how much I needed to heal in the divine feminine and going into the womb. I didn't realize how much I had to heal. By going into the womb, I activated all of this. But I didn't want to go here because I was just like, don't want to go there. It's my divine feminine wounding. I'm fine as I am. It's just easier for me to just be masculine and be over here. Anyway, I went there and I deep dived into that well, and Amaya held my space, as did all the women that I was with. I wasn't holding the group. That was very important that I didn't do that. I needed to hand myself over so I could be held. And that is so important. So I went through this huge initiation and so many things happened, but I just want to share with you what came through. And I will never forget this moment. Amaya looked into my eyes and she said, you are so much more, and they want to give you all of that more. And what needed to happen is I needed to let go of Egypt so she could become. See her there? She needed to become. She needed to let go of Egypt because Egypt as a whole and me as a starseed being in Egypt, and that's my signature frequency, she needed to be balanced and she needed to come into the womb. And only then would I be able to understand the importance of the water frequency of Hathor. Actually, Hathor was very much over here, even though she's from Egypt. Hathor's all about the womb. Isis is all about the womb. You know what I mean? Sekhmet carried me from here all the way over to here. And then I met Sekhmet over here anyway. In Ceridwen, who is a Celtic goddess. And then I started to see all the reflections. Oh, but you're here in that, and you're here in that. And I was seeing all these reflections of mirrors over here. And then I got it. This is where stillness became me. And then all of a sudden, this was the activating factor, and the scales went big. And then everything made sense. Now, just to finish off this divine story, because there are many I could share with you, because this now brings me back to Joseph Arimathea, a video that is probably been shared with you by now, because, yeah, I think I'm posting it. Yeah, I think you would have already seen it by now. And if you haven't, go back there and have a look, see. So here we are, torrential rain. I've been looking for Joseph Arimathea's remains for a very long time, because he came to me in the sacred well in Egypt. And Joseph Arimathea, if you haven't watched the video, he is the guide that will come in and he will help you with the divine plan. Anna, grandmother of Jesus, is the divine plan, as in bringing the cosmic energy through her womb to basically birth the lineage, right? As well as many other things, because she was high priestess in everything here and everything here. But Joseph Arimathea, her son, is very much connected with me. In fact, interestingly, I usually have Thoth sat on my left here, and I usually have Joseph Arimathea sitting on my right. They both are sacred architecture activation, okay? They build sacred architecture, i.e. this and the Sphinx and everything else. And Joseph built the biggest abbey in the world in Glastonbury, okay? I go there and sit there for hours. He's very present there. So here we are at the Glastonbury ruins. We walk up the ley line. We go to, and now his tomb is right there. I didn't realize it. I've been looking for him for ages. Place my hands on the tomb. Everybody connects their hands, and then all of a sudden I start to shake and convulse. I've spoken about this story before, but he came through full channel, and I just burst out, hold the light, hold the light. And prior, because he spoke through me and I said a lot and I can't remember, but prior to me walking up and preparing for his energy to come in, I didn't know that was what was happening. I just kept hearing the words, build it and they will come, build it and they will come, build it and they will come. And I remember thinking, is that you, Joseph? I don't know what's going on there. Build it and they will come. And then, of course, I channeled him all the way through. And then, whew, that was very powerful. And he is encouraging all of us with all of your sacred idea, your blueprints, what it is that you've got going on, build it and they will come. But first of all, you need to get balanced. You need to get right with your divine masculine, right with your divine feminine, and then you can birth, because this is the picture of wholeness. This is union. This is union, right? So Avalon now is a very, very, very powerful integral part of my process. I mean, it always has been. It's just taken me a long time to acknowledge it because of the divine feminine wounding. But now I've gone back there, everything has changed. So 2025, I will be sharing, this is hot off the press, I will be sharing a group in 2025 Lionsgate portal. I'm going to be tapping in through this place here to this place here, from here though. And that's going to be in August 2025. So you will see details of that when I release it. And we'll be staying at the Chalice Well Gardens, in the Well Gardens, where we have access to everything. That's a whole nother thing. But that is the importance. That is a version of me becoming Egypt, and Avalon now becomes. That is my divine balance. And maybe it's yours as well. Now, there's so much more that I want to share on here. I mean, like so much more. The connection between the Essenes here and here, and a grandmother of Jesus, you know, because they're all waiting for us to work with them. And you have like the Egypt version of the Essenes, and you have the Avalon versions of the Essenes. And I also wish to work with you and share with you, and which I will in future, the extended Essenes, which is the starseed Essenes. Okay, so that is the pure untethered version of them, because they are star seeds before they came into the earthly incarnations and suffered the trauma that we have of seeing Yeshua die on the cross. Yes, they were able to hold space for it, but they still felt that trauma. Do you know what I mean? So it's like when we tap into the extended Essenes, which is the starseed version, I get pure channel instruction sharings from them, which is the original plan, because they are part of the divine plan. So are you. So this is my entry for you into Avalon and Egypt. And it's a great place to start. You've got Tablets of Light tour, the 9th to the 19th. We actually end the tour. The last place we go, one of the last places, is to the Sacred Well, where the Holy Crypt is underneath, where Jesus and Mary and baby Yeshua actually hid out. And that Sacred Well in that place at the end of the tour is at the end for good reason, because this is where people receive the Essenes activations of those, I suppose. When I say biblical, I don't mean religious. I just mean that they are obviously featured there, their names and everything like that. But from the Essenes point of view, they are Samuel, you know, they are, you know, all of like, you know, obviously Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, the disciples and everything like that. They will make contact with you there. And the reason I put it at the end is so we can float over here. It's like a handing over, you know what I mean? So this will be Egypt in Avalon, and this will be Avalon in Egypt. I don't know what to tell you. There's your divine balance. But anyway, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for watching. And thank you for receiving this, because this is a very in-depth video. And it was very clear when they said to me, you will not rush this one. You will take as long as it needs, because usually I rush through things, and this one needed its space because there's two very powerful energies here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you received it, and then look forward to more interactions with this as I share more videos on this. So